Hello everyone. So I know I said I would go live today, but I don't know, it still won't let me. It says I need to make more shorts to reach 50 subscribers, even though I have more than 50. You guys were amazing, you came through with that. So I don't know. I'll keep trying, keep posting cat videos of me doing art until we get some. Today I'm doing the lovely Miss Flower in a nice leopard print bed. So, start with her head. Start with the shapes, like I always tell my students. Start with the shapes. And then her chest is here. She's got her paws crossed, one on top of the other, very ladylike. And then she's actually laying diagonal in her round bed, like that. So, start with her eyes, or not her eyes. Like I've said before, I always start with the nose when I do an animal. You probably can hear the mowers and leaf blowers outside. Today is yard work day for my apartment complex. So all the leaf blowers are out, making their mating calls, calling to one another. So fabulous. I did close the kitchen window. I'm in my kitchen. But the patio door is open because Echo is on patrol. So most of the sound's probably coming from that direction. Fun story about today, though. So I just finished eating my lunch. Figure I'll eat my lunch so my belly doesn't growl during the video. And standing at the kitchen counter. I don't actually eat at this kitchen table. This is more of an art table. Plus Katie can get up onto this table because, well, this is where she eats. So it's just not really safe for me to eat at the kitchen table. And before her, Sammy would always get on the kitchen table. So I eat standing at the kitchen counter. So I'm standing there eating my rice and my hot dogs. And suddenly a squirrel dashes by. A squirrel is inside my apartment. And I'm like, did I just see what I think I saw? Katie was at my feet begging for hot dog and rice. She likes carbs. And Echo is hot on that squirrel's tail. How dare it come into the room where his girls are hanging out and threaten us girls? And so he chases it out of the kitchen. And I'm like, I really don't want that squirrel all over the apartment. But Echo had herded it successfully back to the living room where the patio door is. And had gotten it to go back outside, out the patio door, the screen door. And I'm betting it's climbed the post to get up to the deck above us. And yeah, so we had a squirrel, which was kind of exciting, kind of, I don't like that squirrel. My friend says she thinks it was a teenager squirrel and its friends dared it to come in. So I texted my friend about it. So yeah. That was exciting. I don't think Kate had realized at all what had happened. But I gave Echo a snack for, defending us girls and protecting us from the evils of the squirrels invading our home. So yeah. And then I did someone asked me a question on Blue Sky, so I'll answer it. It was about gifts for teachers. And because I'm a art teacher, I am not a classroom teacher. I don't have the kids all day. I get them once a week for 50 minutes. But if they stay at the same school, kindergarten through 5th grade, because I teach at K-5 schools, Most of the elementary schools in my district are K-5. I will see them for 6 years, which I think someone did the math one time, and over the 6 years, we see them the same amount, maybe a titch more, as is what classroom teachers see them in 1 year. We see them that same amount of time in the span of 6 years. But I also get to watch them grow from, please don't eat that, to, oh, you're a real artist. So yeah, sometimes it's a long 6 years though. But okay, gifts. A lot of gifts that kids and parents give to teachers are for the classroom teachers, which makes sense. That's the one that they're with all day, every day, minus the time they're with us or with lunch. So us specials teachers don't often get gifts. So it's really meaningful when somebody thinks of me. I did have one student, she's a Girl Scout, so a lot of times around the holidays, she would give me like a box of like these little chocolate daisy flowers. Sometimes they had caramel in them. Little box of chocolates. Sometimes she would give me a box of Girl Scout cookies. That was always nice. And, a snack. I have gotten a few gift cards. I know a lot of teachers say they like the gift cards. They prefer the gift cards. I honestly don't care. I just like being remembered. I think my favorite gift this year, though, was one student, a 4th grader, and she was in my book club because our school year's ended. And on my screen of my like Apple TV, whatever TV screen that we teach with, I have a slideshow of pictures of the cats. And whenever, Kate had showed up, be like, oh, there she is chewing on my feet. Or Echo would show up and I'd be like, oh, there's my man, And she had paid attention to that. And because she was in my book club, a lot of us in the book club, not everybody, read the Warriors series by Aaron Hunter. And so on the cover, she drew, to Miss Art. That's what I go by with them. And then she drew Firestar, which also kind of looked like Dandy from Dandy the Brave, that book I did with Matt, where he wrote it and I illustrated it. And then on the inside was like the perfect rendition of Echo and Kated and their cat tree. And that really touched me that, I felt seen. Sometimes kids will give me yarn or crochet hooks. I did have one student give me a bunch of yarn. He says, my mom doesn't want this anymore. So I told her you needed it. And I'm like, oh, cool. Whole bunch of yarn. So I've got the sniffles. The tail end of a cold. That was another gift I got given at the end of the school year. It was a cold. So yeah, it doesn't have to be something super big or elaborate, if you want to include your specials teachers for your students. A lot of times you could ask them like, well, what does your PE teacher like? Like, what do they talk about? I mean, other than like PE stuff. Because like the kids know that I like art stuff. I'm an art teacher. But they know I like lizards because I've got a lizard in my classroom. They obviously know I like cats. They know I like yarn. So making something like that personalized, encouraging your students to do that, that's fun. That's really nice to receive that. The rattling noise you're hearing is all my Tombow markers in their case. This kitchen table is not very necessarily sturdy. The legs wobble really easily because it's a homemade. My dad and I made this table ourselves. And the legs are attached, but through age, they become a little wiggly. This table wiggles very easily. All right, so we've got the basic outline of Miss Flower. Now, looking in my stash, we need the cat's eye color, which is this one. She's always got kind of a serious, don't mess with me, I am not in the mood look. And again, I am using Tombow dual brush markers. One side is fine tipped that I use to make the dots for my pointillism. The other side is a brush, which I generally only use, excuse me, to test the color of the marker on my test paper. There we go. Now, she has a lot of black to her, but I don't want to do one solid black everywhere because then that's a problem with black cats, is then it looks blobbish. So, I've got one that's black and one that's near black. So this would be 15 and 25. So you can see slightly the difference. This is the true black. This is the nearly black. So we're going to be using these two a lot. Looking at her picture, I'm definitely going to do the true black for her pupils. I always do that. And then the bridge of her nose is darker than, there's like a highlight at the top of her nose. So we're going to do the darker black on the bridge of her nose. Not all of her is black, though. She does have black and white, which I was telling someone about how I made her a special sweater. Now she's black and white, even though her name is Flower. My dad was like, my dad was in the room, he's like, well, yeah, like the skunk. The skunk was named Flower and Bambi, and the skunk was black and white. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's how Flower got her name. I do know Flower was used, sadly, to train dogs to fight. She was a prey animal for them. But then she was rescued by the lovely, amazing woman she lives with now. And I think originally she had wanted to let her be adopted out. Wasn't planning on keeping her. And I think at one point there was a potential serious adopter, but she just couldn't separate from Flower. So Flower lives with Jude and Jolene and Simon, though I think Jude has sadly passed. But so sweet to see Simon trying to befriend Flower. And Flower's just like, kid. Seriously. But I love her little grumpy self. Okay. Kind of curves in like that. Same over here. Okay. Now, I don't want to do too much with the pure black because, and you know, like I tell my students, you don't always start with the darkest color necessarily. I might actually get out one step lighter, 35, for where I know there's highlights on her that are black, but they look a titch grayish because of highlights and shadows. All right, let me check there. Okay. So she does have kind of a lighter black, dark gray on her chin. Oh, sounds like all the mowers and guys have stopped. I wonder if they're on their lunch break. That's nice. And then it's a little bit here too on her. I think I've done Flower once before at some point. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all the cats I've done though, because I love doing cats. And I keep pausing because I have my computer screen next to me to look at, because I want to make sure I get her pattern correct. Like that. Set down the marker in my hand. Kate is actually being a good girl. She's just sitting in the other kitchen chair. the one she generally uses to get up and down on the table to eat. But because it's not as early in the morning, I don't think she has any food left, to be honest. She kind of tucks in, eats 80 to 100% of her meal, and then walks away and calls it a day until she gets her dinner. Yeah, I'm talking about you. She just sat up. So I guess I can tell you Katie's story while we work on Flower. So Katie was originally adopted by my friend, who at her house is where I have a study group that I go to. Her house hosts the study group. And she already had a cat named Holly, who is a long-haired, kind of dilute calico. And one of her eyes is a little smaller than the other. So she's got it's always giving you like the evil eye, the stink eye. And she's not the warm, friendly kind. She's more of a, wants to be outside and hunting mice and whatnot is her passion. So yeah, there's that. And I think one of her ear tips is actually clipped. So I kept telling Pam she was thought to be like a feral stray at some point, and then was decided to give a home, I guess. And my friend was all like, she needs a sister. She needs a friend. And I'm like, Holly does not want a sister. That is not something Holly wants. But didn't listen to me. Because, what do I know? And went to the Humane Society here in the state and adopted little Katie. Katie's Humane Society name was Tilly, which is just a weird name. So she brought Tilly home, named her Katie. And, of course, I like cats, so I'm always into her cats when I go visit her for study group. And I noticed, she seemed a little odd. I mean, she was a kitten, she is a calico, and she leans into her orange bits. But even one of my other friends in the study group was like, something, I'm like, I don't think she can see. That's what I told her. I don't think she can see. And she's like, oh no, she's fine. She's just a kitten. But it didn't seem to get any better ever. And so I finally convinced her, yeah, I think she's blind. She can't see. And of course Holly loved to go outside and hunt and stuff. And they did have a fence for their yard, but their yard was right up against this great big farm field, So, Holly would obviously love that because, then she could, lots of mice. But then because of that, there's lots of coyotes, there's hawks flying up in the air, and I'm like, she can't see if something's coming at her. You cannot just put her outside and leave her. And also, Katie didn't want to be out there. She always freaked out whenever she was left out there alone when my friend would just, walk away. As long as my friend was out there with her, she was fine. My friend said, but I'm like, you can't do that. She can't see if a threat is coming. This just not right. And she's like, yeah, okay, I guess you're right. And so she stopped forcing her to go outside. Thank goodness. But then, Katie was prone to getting underfoot because, well, she's blind. She does that to me too. I swear one of these days I'm either going to squash her or she's going to trip me and I'm going to fall and break my neck. But my friend, what she really loves are ragdolls. And she befriended somehow, or got to know somehow, this one breeder who breeds ragdolls. And apparently one little boy was born. He wasn't like show worthy, or like he's got some sort of defect. I don't know. He's just kind of small for a ragdoll. I know ragdolls tend to be one of the bigger breeds. And she named him Beau, B-E-A-U. And so she adopted him. Got him like on the cheap because he's a defect ragdoll, whatever. Well, her husband was like, we are not having 3 cats. We're not. And Kay did, you know, she was still youngish. She was still under a year. And she wanted to play. And you know, cats, they mostly communicate through body language. They aren't a vocal creature like us. And, well, she can't see their, you know, F off, go away from me, body language that they were giving her. And, you know, Beau was just a very timid ragdoll. He's not brave at all. He's a ragdoll. Sweet as all get out, and so Kay got the label of being violent. And, well, Holly was there first, so Holly had to stay. And Beau was the favorite chosen child, the special purebred ragdoll. So that meant of the 3, if one had to go, it would have to be Katydid. And at that time, she had asked me to help find a home to rehome her. I'm like, okay, I'll help you out. And then around that same time, my Bogart, because at that time I had 2 boys, Bogart and Sammy, we found out too late Bogart had like a mass in his abdomen, stomach, and he lost function of his back end, and like he was still perky, still eating, but he wasn't living. So I let him go. And Sammy, his brother, who was diabetic, sweet thing, he just would not. I even brought home the blanket that Bogart was put down with, laying on. And Sammy just refused to accept that Bogart was gone. They'd been together since they were young. They were not blood litter mates, but they had been together since they were kittens and had really bonded. And he just gave up. And I think if he hadn't been diabetic, I could have maybe gotten him through it. But I couldn't. And then my friend texted me. She's like, so I know this is soon, but you did just lose, you know, your 2 boys and you have an empty spot. You should take Katydid. Now, she wasn't calling her Katydid at that time. That's something just I did. She was Katie. And I'm like, no, because I had already put in an application. That's part of Echo's story. I'll tell you that next video. But then it turns out I couldn't have both of the ones I put in an application for. Again, other story. Now, the reason she's named Katydid, she's not named after the bug. Like, I didn't even know Katydid was a bug till someone commented on that. At the time when I met her, when she was still Katie, I was reading a book called The Magical Cat series by, I think, Sophie Kelly is the author. And there's this woman, Kathleen, who moves into town to originally, temporarily, be the new head of a library, Carnegie Library, but it's being renovated, reopened. She ends up adopting these 2 pairs of cats. It's from like a mysterious abandoned lot in town. And turns out they have magical powers. One can walk through walls and one can go invisible. And so her name is Kathleen. But whenever she calls her mom, since it was an audiobook, her mom would go, hey, Katydid, how's the library going? And so whenever I went over to my friend's house, I'd be, hey, Katydid, how things going? You know, like the mom did in the book series. And Katydid would always come out running. My friend would be like, she doesn't come out even when I just call her. I'm like, well, because, you know, I was teasing her. Her name's not actually Katydid, it's Katydid. And she knows that. And I always teased her whenever I went over there for study group that one day I'm just going to steal your cat. I'm just going to put her in my bag here with my books and I'm going to steal your cat. Even my mom would always joke, one day you're going to end up with her cat somehow. And lo and behold, because then I went over one day, and because they were just going to like put her in the shelter, and she's a sweet little thing, and I couldn't. I loved her too much. So I went over there at the kennel, set it down, and she just hopped right in, looked at me like, it's about darn time you came to get me. It's the only peaceful car ride we've ever had, is that one. Because after that, she requires I sing her battle song to prep her for every visit to the vet, neurologist most often. And I told my friend, she's not actually Katie. She's Katie Did. And then when I got her licensed and all that, I did switch her name and her records. She is now Katie Did. Took me a while to hunt down her records so that I could like license her and everything and prove she was mine, because I wanted her full history. And yeah, it took a while, but I managed to get, because my friend had lost her original paperwork, of course. And so, oh, there's more black over there on this side of the nose. I totally spaced that. Sorry, Flower. You have a black sploot right here. There you go. That goes a little bit more like that. There we go. Okay. But in her drop-off paperwork, when she was born at home, her drop-off paperwork, they stated the reason they were dropping her off was they believed she was injured, that they had stepped on a hind leg and was worried it was broken. I mean, if you think about like a 4-week-old kitten and you think of an adult foot, like, I'm thinking they stepped on more than just, you know, a single leg there. Personal opinion. Again, what do I know? And her foster home, they deemed it was only sprained, not broken. But her foster parent, because then they put her out in a foster home until she was old enough to be adopted, was worried she was actually deaf. Because, well, she doesn't respond to no very well. You know, I'm a princess. Princesses don't get told no or get spanked or any of that. We get to do what we want. It's her personal life motto. She is a princess, so she gets to do whatever she wants. I need this gray for her inner ear. But they did the cotton ball test and determined that she was vision impaired. And that is in her adoption paperwork my friend had. So I don't know if they just didn't like specifically say that to her. If she wasn't listening, she forgot, she was in denial. But it was shortly after she came to accept that she was blind that she gave Katie the label of violent, and then she had Bo, and then she needed a new home for Katie did, so whatever. But now Katie's not violent, she's just spunky. Like I said, she leans into her orange bits. Okay, now time for Miss Flower's bed. Though she needs a little bit of shadowing here on her chest where her fur kind of, there we go, and a little bit here. Okay. Now her bed is brown and tan with leopard spots. So let's test this one. Do I like this one? Yes, that is actually perfect. So, and then also when I got Katie, I think it was maybe a month into her living with me. Yeah, I think it was end of November. I got her like right after her birthday would have been. So she had just turned 1. I missed her birthday. And she had a seizure. So of course I took care of her, and in the morning I rushed her to my normal vet. And my friend was like, oh yeah, she had some of those when she was living with us. We just figured she was playing too hard. And I'm like, a cat just doesn't play so hard it has a seizure. It's like, I've never heard of that before. So she's epileptic and blind and spicy. Yeah. So I'm glad she's with me. But yeah, she's actually named after a character from a book series, a librarian who adopted 2 cats with magical powers. She is not named after a bug. And she is the sweetest little baby girl. Loves to be held and rocked when she has a full belly so that she can sleep and digest. She loves to snuggle up against me in bed. Loves to play and chew on things. I'd say that's my only complaint. She chews on things, but she's blind, so of course she chews on things. It's how she sees the world. And she's baby. She's still, exploring her world. And that's to be expected. So what I'm going to end up doing to this for the rest of this artwork is her bed from the picture is this light tan with the leopard spots, like I've already said. So then I'll use a medium brown and a black to make I don't know if I'll use black though, because flower is black. So I might use a medium and then a dark brown. And then the bottom part of the bed is also a dark brown. And it looks like she's laying on a pink blanket. Excuse me. So I might do a very light pink and then with some medium and dark pink speckling for the shading. This is what I'm going to do for Miss Flower here. Let's see. Her bed doesn't go very high. It goes like that. So that is what I'm going to do to keep working on this. And when this is finished on a later time, I'll probably finish it tomorrow. I will post the finished to my social media for you all to see. And then I'll also add the whiskers. I just do lines with my pen that I use to outline with. So I generally don't do that until the end because I don't want to have to dot around it and make it look like it's awkward around it, or go over the whiskers with a color that then looks like it's hiding, like the whiskers have been chopped off. So that's why I don't do the whiskers. And I'm also going to add a little bit of shading into her eyes. Go back to her eyes. And I might go back and add a little bit more shading to her blackness. I'm hoping to have a better tripod next time for my next video. I do have a proper tripod for my phone to use as with my camera, but I generally use it at school when I make videos for my students. So that is on my to-do list. Normally today I would be going back to school to feed Aspen, my lizard, but since it is a holiday, I doubt the engineer or janitors will be there. And in order to go in the building during the summer, without setting off on the alarms, I need to make sure they're there. So I'll probably go tomorrow. And I'll bring the tripod home. And there was something else I was going to bring home from school, but I don't remember what. Not my lizard. She was a lot of work to get into. But yeah, if you have any more questions you'd like me to answer, about Kated or Echo. Maybe next video I'll tell you Echo's story. Or about how to draw anything. Whatever questions you want to ask, just go ahead and either comment them on my social media or comment them on this video. And if you've hung out this long, you're amazing. And I will answer them in the next video. Otherwise, have a great Memorial Day. Have a great week. Have a safe week. If it's really hot where you're at, make sure you stay cool and don't let those squirrels into your homes. See you next time.